About the young people, they always say real recognize real. So when you have somebody that has made a transition, well, you like to say a reformation or a transformation in their life, especially myself, being involved in the criminal activity I was in for many years, to make the change that I needed to make and to be diligent in that change, to be out of prison and going on 13 years without incident. I think that's very important.
You're watching a special edition of Art Fennell Reports, Breaking the Cycle of Violence, a town hall meeting. Now again, here's Art Fennell.
I had a conversation with Reverend Errol Sharpton. He says that we've got to take the glamour out of being out there on the street, because a lot of these kids look at this as a badge of honor, that they can make more money on their corner than the guy on the next corner, and that they can buy the stuff that a lot of their friends can't buy, and that gives them a swagger on the street, and they're quite fine with that. Judge Dumas, when these young offenders come before you, what do you see in their faces? What do you hear from them? Do you see remorse? Do you see anger, resentment? Do you see cockiness? All of the above? What do you see most if you had to sum it up?
I would say, Art, that the most that we see in the court system when juveniles come before us is hopelessness and helplessness. We see children who are committing these huge crimes, and we have these little faces.
And you said children.
Oh, children, absolutely. Oh, no, they're children to me. I mean, I know everybody has different opinions because, you know, they are committing big crimes. But the bottom line is that these are still children. These are children that can't read. These are children that half of them don't know how to take care of themselves. They're physically, hygiene-wise. These are children who don't understand or don't understand that when they come into court, how they're supposed to be dressed. They don't understand it, and guess what? The adults that are bringing them in, they don't know either, because they're not telling them, listen, you're going in front of someone that can make a decision about the rest of your life. But they'll come in with state property gear, and I'll say to them, are you trying to send me a message? Because you wear state property gear, and I can accommodate that. I can send you to the state for as long as you need to know. So, you know, I mean, I'm listening to all of this and create the jobs and this. Our children can't read. They can't read, Art. They can't do math. So if we create the jobs, I don't know how they're going to do them if they can't read. They can't even fill out an application in order to apply for the job. So this is a systemic issue, because once they end up in front of me and in front of my colleagues, it's not too late, but depending on which one of us they end up in front of, it may be a little too late. So we need to act on the front end so that we're not paying on the back end.
Let's hear from the floor.
Our panelists have inspired the audience to come forward and give their own testimonies and questions. I have Reginald McLaughlin from Cheltenham who would like to also address the panel.
First of all, I'm a project baby. I was born across the street in the big building, 11th and North, and then went to the project built after that. I am a 12th grade graduate. My father was shot in his head a zillion years ago on the streets in the projects down here. I'm here to say that I am tired of us not taking control of our children. I am a single father. I have 3 girls. I raised my girls. I used to live in Philadelphia. I no longer. I'm a business owner. I hire my people. I've hired people out of prison when they didn't have prison reform programs and welfare to work before welfare to work, because that's all we could afford. I am in control of my household. I am the man. We need to be in control of our own household. I don't think I have to ask any government that I deserve things, but I don't have to ask them to take care of my children. I don't have to ask them to teach my children about history. I teach my own. My mother raised 6 children. I don't believe in enabling. I might not be the greatest father in the world, but I am what I am, and I got my strength from my mothers. Only my mother, my grandmother. So the males have not been in homes through slavery. Our ancestors they've never had any education. I don't buy this. They owe us something for what they did, yes. But I think that we need to get ourselves together and take care of our own children in our own house.
We want to also hear from Debbie Moore from the North Philadelphia community. She has a question for our panel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm an expert from the street. I lived in Richard Allen homes. My position, it's not as much a question as it is. As soon as that poor soul, Officer Cassidy, was slain, they're putting a gun bill right now. Governor Rendell called a press conference saying that even if you shoot at a police officer, you don't even have to touch him, the minimum is 20 years. And he also said police officers are off limits. I'm trying to understand, I thought we were all off limits when it comes down to murder and gun. Oh, okay.
Well, hang on, Sharon, and bring her back, because I want to ask her a question. Sure. Are you more satisfied that finally something is going to be done in terms of a law, even though it comes at the unfortunate and the tragic demise of Officer Cassidy? Or are you more disappointed that it took that tragedy to make it happen?
I would never say that that was satisfaction. I'm just concerned that we're not looked at as human beings. You're only a human being when you're a police officer. But you know, I have a problem. I heard District Attorney Lynn Abraham identify where the guns are coming from. So that tells me you know where they are. Why aren't you doing something about that? She said they are in the surrounding areas. Well, then you know they're in the surrounding areas. You know exactly where they are.
Vernon Arrington, New Jersey.
Good evening. I've been listening to all the discussion this evening. It's very interesting. And I think that if we're ever going to be able to resolve the problems in our community, we have to first look internally. I think what Mr. Bilal said was absolutely correct. We all, as adults in our community, have to take responsibility for all of our young people. But we've dropped the ball when it comes to our young people. We've let them go. And as members of the adult community, we ought to feel a serious responsibility for that.
We have Johnny Patterson from North Philly. Your question, sir?
This is directed to the panel. Me, I'm 20 years old. I'm a college student. And most people my age are either in jail selling drugs or doing things like that. I'm not doing that. And you know, to see this panel, I'm glad that the panel is assembled. I'm glad that they're doing this, but there's no youth being represented on that panel. No, not saying that you guys cannot relate to us, but you really can't relate to us because you're not our age. You're not going what we go through. You're not going on the daily struggles. All of you, most of you, or all of you have college educations, have college degrees and things like that. Most of us youth do not have that, so we can't provide for ourselves to get out of the community where you can say, well, I have my college degree, I can make this amount of money, so I'm fine, I can move out of the neighborhood where I don't have to deal with it. And my other point is that I feel as though, from research that I've done, if you really wanted to stop what's going on in the communities, you can stop what's going on, but nobody wants to stop what's going on because it employs too many people.
If we're really talking about a solution, young people have to be in this conversation. Second, I think that it is sort of hypocritical for us to suggest to young people that they resolve their contradictions in a nonviolent way when we have world leaders who can't do the same thing. So, you know, when we think about the fact that there's 250 million guns in this country and a gun being made every 10 seconds and less than 50 million books in school, it's hypocrisy at its greatest level.
Up next, a victim of violence tells her story.
They rang my doorbell. I didn't answer the door. I pulled back the window because we had been robbed. They shot through the window, and I was shot 5 times.